Welcome back to the Politbureau, where we continue to try and connect the dots. So, as we said earlier on, trying to connect you to the national grid and try to make sense of how Eskom has arrived at this point where the lights are sometimes on and the lights are sometimes off. And we continue our conversation with the former CEO of Eskom, Molefe. Actually, right now, let's go to a clip where we have Mwako Ramatlodi, the former Minister of Mineral Resources, speaking about a meeting that had taken place and where he says that Brian Molefe, the CEO, or former CEO of Eskom, as well as the chairperson at the time, Ben Ngubane, tried to strong-arm him in suspending the operation license of Glencore. Just take a listen.
In attendance were several of my officials.
Yes.
And so Dr. Ngubane then demands that I should take all the licenses
at the meeting now.
That Glencore has.
That is at the meeting now.
Yeah, at the meeting, right in the meeting. So he's overriding the agreement with Molefe.
Yes.
Now, so I then said to him,
and
Doctor,
you say he demands that
you
use
demands,
that word.
He says he wants to finish with the meeting. He's going to report to the president before the president leaves.
Okay, Mr. Molefe, let's first start here. Can you confirm that that meeting did take place?
Yes, it did. It did, yes, but maybe our recollection is different, but the meeting did take place.
The meeting did take place. What is your version of what happened during that meeting?
Well, let me just to put everything in context. The issue or the essence of Mr. Ramatlodi's evidence was that there was a demand from Dr. Ngubane and or myself that we should take away he should take away Glencore's license. The fact of the matter is that Mr. Ramatlodi, Minister Ramatlodi, did take away Glencore's license, and he provided a reason, and the reason was retrenchments. Glencore was about to do retrenchments, and in terms of the Department of Minerals and Energy, they had not followed procedure, and so the department took away the license at about the same time that Minister Ramatlodi says the meeting took place. They did take away the license, and Eskom never demanded, or myself or Dr. Ngubane demanded that the license must be taken away because of retrenchments. But it was, and it is well documented, it was in the news, the license was taken away.
That because so, even NUM responded to that.
I do not see how we could have then said to Minister Ramatlodi, take the license away, because it had been taken away. What I recall is we were requesting that the license should not be taken away, because if it is taken away, that will result in load shedding. Now, Advocate Ramatlodi and Advocate Molefe say that we were saying that, in fact, Advocate Molefe in his testimony contradicts himself, because he says that despite all of these things, at some point they did take away the license, and it was during the same period.
Was there mention of former President Jacob Zuma's name during this meeting?
I don't recall that. It may have been, I don't recall it.
You don't remember former President Jacob Zuma's name being mentioned?
I don't remember his name.
Have you ever received a call from former President Jacob Zuma during that time around the Glencore issue?
No, not on the Glencore issue.
Not on the Glencore issue?
Not on the Glencore issue.
Okay. And when you look at the Glencore issue in terms of the investigation by the public protector seems to create the insinuation that what has happened is that Eskom has actually helped with the purchasing of the Optimum mine by Tegeta by giving this advancement of the 600 million.
Yes.
Is that a fact?
No. What happened is, in fact, there was a meeting that took place, the much talked about meeting that took place at night. Incidentally, I was not at that meeting. I was not even on the telephone in that meeting, but the meeting took place where the prepayment was approved. The prepayment was for coal that would be delivered by Tegeta. Not Glencore, Tegeta. During the months of May, June, July, and August. And the amount of the coal that would be delivered would have been in the value of 600 million. And they requested a prepayment because of the state of the mine and the other areas that they wanted to mine and other things that they wanted to do at the mine. That is what they ostensibly told us. So the prepayment was for coal.
Is it something that's
No,
It's regular. Is it a regular contract?
Yes.
Eskom
The
would be
prepayment
giving
of coal is very normal.
prepayment to essentially it's a new service provider, considering that there was still that negotiation around whether Tegeta has enough money to acquire Glencore or Optimum Mine.
It wasn't the new service provider, it was Optimum Mine, so it was a going concern.
So yeah, the contract is there, but technically there's a new holder of that contract, right? If Tegeta would have received the contract from Glencore.
But be that as it may, for whatever reason, or whether the risk analysis was not done properly and so on, the coal was delivered. The coal to the value of the prepayment was delivered. You can check with Eskom Finance. The coal was delivered. So Tegeta or Optimum Mine does not owe Eskom 600 million for money that was paid to purchase shares in another company. No, it was for the coal that was delivered in May, June, July, and August. By August.
And you maintain that that contract was above board?
The contract was above board.
Okay, let's quickly go again to the Public Protector's report. And there was this issue around the phone calls that were made to you, or the phone conversation between yourself as well. I think it was Atul Gupta or AJ Gupta, one of the Gupta brothers. I think about 40 phone calls or so. Do you mind explaining the contents of those phone calls?
Well, I am not sure what happened there, but subsequent to that, I did an analysis of my own on the phone calls. And what I found is that most of them happened while I was in transit, in the car. So when I went and did the analysis, I found that there's a phone call, for example, that begins at point A and terminates at another base station, which means that I was in motion, right? So which means that I was moving. These were the majority of the phone calls where I was not physically at a particular place, but I was in
But there was
transit.
a phone conversation that
There were phone calls that took place with the Guptas. They were a supplier to Eskom. So were other suppliers to Eskom that we had spoken about. At the time, we were even thinking about or had suspended their license. I'm not sure when that happened because of coal quality. Their license was suspended because of coal quality. They were very angry. And they said they want an investigation into this thing because they believed that there are people in Eskom that are sabotaging them. And so there was cause to talk to them on a regular basis because, in fact, the matter was a police matter that was reported and that was being investigated. So I received calls from them and I phoned them in the course of us trying to clarify exactly whether the issue was with our employees or it was with their quality.
You've never hidden your relationship with the Gupta brothers. You've never hidden them. It's always been It's always been in the public, yeah?
Yeah.
Here's a strange thing that I found though in the Public Protector's report is Nazim Hawa calls you on the 24th of September, which would have been just a day before you would have been appointed permanent head of Eskom. Do you remember that conversation, the CEO?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that conversation?
Yeah. What was it about?
Well, that's why I'm asking you. Do you remember any phone calls? Because there's about 5 phone calls that you get from Nazim Hawa a day before you are appointed permanent head of Eskom.
I don't remember what those phone calls were about or what it was about, but perhaps whoever has made the allegation about those phone calls can explain.
This is the Public Protector, and it takes us back to that conversation that you had before, even about taking this report under review. You've decided not to take the report under review. But as some MPs have said, that these allegations remain part of a findings of a statutory body.
The issue with the Public Protector's report is that it does not have findings. So despite all the observations that she made, despite everything that she says in the report, in the end she says there are no findings.
There are no findings, but whatever she has come down to, whether
advice,
it's the observations, those observations has led you to even leave your job as the CEO of Eskom.
Yes.
So clearly those are important observations that you've made, but they remain there.
The observations need to be ventilated in a proper forum. Since I left Eskom, there has not been a proper forum to ventilate these allegations or these observations.
There was Parliament. Parliament was an opportunity. There is the State Capture Commission of Inquiry right now. There's an opportunity as well.
Parliament didn't come to any findings as well. There were no findings from Parliament. State Capture Inquiry is going on. It's not finished. So let's wait for it to be ventilated in a proper forum. No.
are you willing to take yourself to the State Capture Commission using this report and say, I want to clear my name on the basis of these allegations that have been made against me in the State Capture
I will
Commission?
take legal advice on that.
Will you take legal advice on this? But at which point? Because you've made the same argument about taking legal advice back in 2016 as well.
Yes, but there has not been a proper forum to ventilate. I don't know if you understand me. We have to go to a proper forum, not during an interview at ENCA, not in the media, not in the newspaper, where I can be properly questioned about all of these things that I can answer. But the important thing is there has not been any findings by the public protector, number one. And number two, the public protector, despite publishing this report, never interviewed me. She never gave me the right to be heard. A constitutional right to be heard was denied to me by the public protector. By the way, not only her, the academics as well that compiled that report that went to Parliament also never interviewed me about what had happened.
Okay, just in closing quickly, one issue is some people are saying that Brian Molefe should be held liable for the financial woes that Eskom finds itself in the moment, as well as some of the Treasury findings with regards to the Transnet investigation. Just quickly, your take on this, and I think there's a court application to that regard as well to recoup some money from you. From Transnet?
The people that say that money must be recouped from me must obviously make their case in a proper forum, and I will answer to that case if and when it is made. The Transnet issue, I've said already in the past that they have issued summons, which I found frivolous.
Are you challenging those?
Yes, we are. In fact, we have requested documents from Transnet to substantiate their particulars of claim, which they have not yet provided to us. And when we receive the documents that we have requested, we will, in a proper forum, ventilate the matters.
Former Eskom CEO, thank you so much, Brian Molefe. Well, that brings us to the end of this particular conversation. After the break, Spinners and Spanners.